3 million years from Earth, the Red Dwarf podcast thanks for the memory. Its crew, Blake Braswell, a USA native, and Lee Malaby, his English co-host. Additional, we think it's only fitting to take a moment of silence for Arnold J. Rimmer. But also, can we take a moment to appreciate Christine Kachansky? What is up, Smegheads, and welcome to Series 7 of Thanks for the Memory, a Red Dwarf podcast where we rewatch every episode of the BBC comedy show Red Dwarf and discuss them. I am your host, Lee, and I am here with my brother from another mother across the pond. Blake, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, brother from another mother, through a time shift and a dilation that broke apart.
We're definitely doubling down on the multiverse in moving through this season, aren't we? Series, sorry.
Well, I think it's so funny. I think I may have mentioned something like this when we were chatting about it prior, but like, we know when the Marvel movies and stuff start doing multiverse, even like Rick and Morty and stuff. If you grew up on this and a steady dose of DC comic books, the multiverse was such a like, oh yeah, it's just a thing. Yeah. But it is interesting to go back and watch these and be like, wow, this would be an old trope now.
But then it was fresh as hell.
Yeah, it absolutely was. But also like fit so well with everything with Red Dwarf that like the pan-dimensional occurrences and stuff, so it feels right at home. And maybe that's why in my brain I didn't remember it being such a big deal, but it feels so at home with the concept of Red Dwarf. So this episode we're talking about is Series 7, and it is Episode 3, Ouroboros, which originally aired in the UK on Friday, January 31st, 1997. I had to pause to make sure I didn't read it like the Liverpudlian barmaid did. Ouroboros.
It's funny, isn't it? Like we've been hinting at a certain character coming back in that we don't remember how that character came back in, and this entire episode is a vehicle just to get said person into the show.
It's literally what the whole script's about. So Starbug flies into a dimensional tear, and the crew meet themselves from an alternate reality where Lister is a hologram and Kachansky's alive. When a Gelf ship opens fire on Starbug, alternate Kachansky becomes stranded with no way home. I love that you just described it that way, because it does not necessarily feel like an extension of the story. It feels like, all right, we got to get Kachansky in and work backwards from there. And we haven't mentioned this in a while, but we used to say the early series, there's like a sort of a normal episode, then a super sci-fi concept episode. And we have just had, super sci-fi concept the whole season so far?
Yeah.
I would say, and this being a big one. I do find it interesting that, and I want to be fair to it, it's 1997. I do find it interesting that it feels like, I guess you're going to say goodbye to Rimmer. You got to spend some money and do that Stug Me a Clipper episode and like throw at it. But introducing Kachansky back into the mix here, it does feel like this episode is significantly cheaper. Like, we talk about the Gelfs attacking. We don't ever see them. It's kind of it's a lot of blue screen. Effects. Not that blue screen is a cheap thing, mind you. And in 97, doing these like sort of quasi digital effects and everything, like probably a bigger deal and more expensive than I realized. But it feels a weirdly small episode for the amount of high sci-fi that's happening.
It does, and I think that goes for the next episode. Again, we've said this before. We record 2 episodes in a row. There's something in the next episode that I've written down in my notes when you talk about how cheap it was. There's a little thing in the beginning of that. But yeah, you're right. I never considered that would potentially be the reason that these 2 episodes would look a little cheaper or be less big concept because they don't, to sort of save a bit of money. And
I'm sure like, it's one of those things where it's like they go to a dimensional rift and there's a time bridge, and it's like the effects were like, oh my God, guys, how are we going to do this? So I'm not knocking the execution at all, especially for 1997. I mean, in 97, well, wait, was Doctor Who even on again? 97? I don't think it was. I'm trying to think like what stuff was on the Sci-Fi Channel or whatever.
I tapped out of Doctor Who long before then.
Yeah, so it wasn't then, but the Sci-Fi. I'm trying to think. We had the old Sci-Fi Network back when I actually did science fiction in the States, and it's obviously pre-Battlestar Galactica reboot and stuff. So I mean, again, not knocking these at all by any stretch of the means in what they were trying to pull off, but it does seem. I know usually we don't do this. Usually we talk about the feeling of the whole episode afterwards, but it does feel small and rushed a bit for such an important thing that's about to happen.
It's funny how you say it feels rushed when in the show notes, in the trivia, that they said this one and the next one were long episodes that they had to do both of them without the opening credits.
Right, yes. Because the episodes were just long enough that they couldn't do that. And the cold open for this, right, it's Lister grooming himself. And
No, the cold open for this one is the guy finding the baby in the box in the pub at the beginning.
That's true. You kind of have two cold opens, don't you? You feel like you would have had that, then the credits, then the opening with Lister doing the grooming. So the opening is we just see a box get put under a hollow pool table. No, a grav pool table. Yes. So it is because it's like floating.
Yeah.
And it just says a robber. God, I can't say it now because they say it incorrectly so much.
Ouroboros. It's Ouroboros. Ouroboros, yeah.
Which I feel like Crichton even kind of says kind of funny, and I didn't know if that was like an English pronunciation or if
he does pronounce it weird, yeah, but I couldn't tell you how it is in now.
So you see that baby get delivered, and a guy going, and the bar is so funny to me because a lot of times when they go back to Earth for a look, they don't lean on Earth looking futuristic, right? And it struck me because typically it'll be like the memories of Lister's girlfriend, right, from series 2, I believe it was.
Yes.
And it's just her in a park somewhere, probably out in Manchester where they filmed out in the BBC. I think they were in Manchester BBC for those episodes. But it's Earth.
Yeah.
But that
in 1980, whatever it is.
Yeah, it looked like inside of a ship. The way that the bar was, like if you didn't know, that's kind of what it feels like. But it's clear pool bar, whatever.
To me, it kind of feels sort of post-apocalyptic. It's the type of pub you would see in something like a Judge Dredd, like that type of thing. I feel.
Oh, and even the way they're dressed. To be honest, that's really true. Because like this, the look at Lister's past, that he was in art college and dropped out. They sound quasi-normal, right? It's the future, but like it seems quasi-normal. And this just does imply something a little different. And as much as we talked about how we thought that this happened earlier because we had the memory of this moment and knowing that he was under the pool table, and much like some things like Dwayne Dibley and stuff, actually only in one thing, but mentioned in a series 2 episode about being found under the pool table, right? Where they're getting drunk.
Yeah.
Crichton, or 3, or is it series 3?
My brain isn't that retentive right now.
I just feel like there's one where he's a bit drunk.
And you're right, yeah.
Yeah, and it's referenced being found on the pool table. So Doug Naylor's definitely doing a thing where he is going through and digging up lore. And I don't know if tying loose ends, but like, well, Lister mentioned this, so we'll do this.
But there's also, like I said, so I referenced on the last episode that this, like we talked a lot on the last episode about how much we felt Rob Grant stepping away has affected Red Dwarf. And we kind of talked about how we felt that, like, Doug Naylor being in charge of the writing, there was a very specific way of him doing it. And specifically the last episode felt like a very old season 1, season 2 episode of Red Dwarf. And I said, I'm interested to move forward to see if that continues. I will categorically say now, yes, they do. Because there's a lot of references in this episode and the next one to things that haven't been referenced in a long time, but things that are quintessential Red Dwarf things from early, like Series 1, Series 2.
And not only that, but also from the book. The first book, Infinity Welcomes Careful Drivers.
Yes.
There is stuff that's pulled in it. There's some Kachansky stuff. I think, well, the whole Lister being dumped and doing shore leave, that is in the book.
Yes.
Which is funny because until this point, I would say the show has led us to believe he fancied Kachansky and she barely gave him the time of day.
Yes.
Not that they had an ex relationship.
That's interesting.
Right? And it makes me want to go back. It's like, I don't know, Lee, when this is all said and done, the dust settles on our rewatch, I might go back through and look at a few things, because I do feel like up until this point, it wasn't really inferred they had a relationship. He wanted one because he dreamed about doing this to her. And it was like kind of the joke was, you don't even like really know her.
Yes.
Like, why are you?
Yeah, I think doesn't Rimmer mention that it's like you've had more conversations with the toilet or something than you've had with her. Like 17 words. I feel like he references a very specific amount of words that they've said to each other.
Yeah, was that the one where he wanted to bring Kachansky back as Rimmer or not as Rimmer, but like in the Hollow?
Oh,
we'll do a timeshare.
Was that Balance of Power where he ended up passing the chef's exam?
Yes, it might have been that one. And in this, the opening scene, which we get a Chris Berry playing Rimmer from series 1.
Yeah, this is what I mean. It feels very series 1 and 2 Red Dwarf.
And I love that he really took the swing at it and waiting for Lister holding the Smeg head sign. But one of the notes I wrote down about halfway through my second viewing was, and maybe this is the rushed thing too, and there's something off about timing again. And when I say that, I don't always mean too fast or too slow. There was such a rhythm that they had built through as each series progressed. And I don't think the effect of the long gap in filming between 6 and 7 can be underestimated.
Okay.
Because I think it's part of the reason it feels like a throwback is, remember we talked about like series 1 and 2, funny jokes and things, some timing a little off that would get better later, and you can almost feel it happening again because, and think about it, they took a long break. There's no live crowd now, right? They show this filmed to an audience. I noticed Lister delivers things a bit more subdued than he did in series 6. There is a little theatricality, and I don't know if that's when you remove the live crowd, that I just feel, and I'm not even saying that's a negative thing. As we have talked about previously, sometimes while it may take a second to get back on its feet, the change is good. Like it propels things forward in a different way and gets them creative and stuff. But there's definitely, I would wager a lot of people's issues stem from the sort of uphill climb Red Dwarf was making, and then you break for a bit and come back and film in a different way, and it's just a slightly different vibe that has to, I hope, I don't remember all the next following episodes, but you would think would start to like build back up. Yeah,
but I'll be honest right now, I said after the first 2 episodes that I know a lot of people crap on this series, but after 2 episodes, I'm actually really enjoying this because, and I think it's like what we've just been talking about there, is it feeling like series 1 and 2, those old school Red Dwarf, which I have stated right from the start, that's my Red Dwarf. And I think that's why...
very sitcom.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why, because these feel so old school, while I'm enjoying them more than I think a lot of people would, because it really harkens back to what I loved about Red Dwarf. And I think that's got to be Doug Naylor's writing.
And I'll say, I don't, as much as I would have loved, like, what if they did series 7 right after 6 and the team stayed together and not necessarily saying, I mean, even if you made the change to Kachansky, I mean, but the creative team stayed together. But, also like you might have run the course of, hey, kind of doing adventures of the week. We did series 5 and 6. We did those pretty well. We started playing around with them at 5. It went harder there in 6. Well, what else was there to do? And so I think like having the change. I think having the change is probably a good or interesting thing, because there's that whole thing of like it's like Star Wars, right? How do you win, right?
Yes, we talked about this on the last episode, didn't we?
Oh, thank you, Force Awakens. Just give us the old stuff we love. Wait, this is too much like the old stuff we love. Oh, here's Last Jedi. You changed too much. Yes. I don't like it.
Yep, you can't win either way.
How do you win, right? So I don't, it's interesting. It feels different. You are right. Like it does go back to sort of that old school sitcom vibe, but it does have a little bit of that series 6 adventure in it with what's happening with, because the previous didn't. Your adventure was with Ace as a cold open.
Yes.
But then it really was a very small episode with the crew afterwards. And this one is similar. For the bigness of the idea, it is kind of a small setup.
And the next one's a really small episode as well, which goes back to something else you said on the last episode that I'm going to bring up in that one as well. But I also think you're saying that gap has probably helped it change a little bit. I also think Chris Barry stepping away and having a female character come in. Yes, no one wanted to lose Rimmer, but I think having that switch out has changed the dynamic and will make it feel different as well, because you've now got a completely different personality in there from Rimmer that's going to change the dynamic between all the crew, and it's going to feel different purely because of that. And honestly, she's great. I always remember as a sort of how old will I have been in 1997? Like 21. So, I was like, oh yeah, I kind of like Chloe Annette. I still agree with that statement, but she's actually really good. And it kind of brought me, I was watching these two episodes thinking, I wonder how this would have felt if Claire Grogan had have come back. And I've said this before, I don't think Claire Grogan's a particularly good actress.
I don't, God bless her. She is perfect in where she's at. I don't know that being a recurring character on the show would have worked. And also, would they have cast her in the beginning if they thought she was going to be a recurring character? Like on weekly, on the show.
Yes. So kind of like, there's one of I'm going to bring up the Harry Potter movies at this point. There's a bit in that annoys the life out of me. So, and it annoys me because, the fat lady, the portrait that is the entrance to the Gryffindor common room.
Oh, from the Vicar of
she wasn't. If you watch the first movie, it's I can't remember her name, but she was in like a kids' TV series called Simon and the Witch, and she was the witch in that. But she's not massively famous. But then because in The Prisoner of Azkaban, the fat lady plays a much bigger role, we're going to cast Dawn French.
Oh my gosh. How about I didn't even know? I had to go look at this, dude. So Elizabeth Spriggs, that's who it was in Potter.
Yeah.
The first time.
And then because she plays a much bigger role in The Prisoner of Azkaban, they wanted to cast someone who was much more of a known entity. And it annoys me that I feel like they did that a little bit with
oh my goodness. I did not know, but I guess she had small enough part. I didn't notice it.
I feel like they did that in the MCU a little bit with War Machine, with Rhodey, because obviously it was, I can't think of his name now.
From Crash, and I can see the actor. I can't think of his name.
I can't think of his name. But then, obviously, when he became a much bigger part, they cast Don Cheadle in there. So it kind of annoys me when they do that. But
Terrence Howard, there you go.
Yes.
Well, there's a whole history on that one, which was Terrence Howard came for a whole lot more money. And they basically were like, well, our originally we wanted to cast Don Cheadle and he wasn't available. So we'll just switch it to Don Cheadle.
Oh, okay.
And that's
still annoying though. I've said this all the time. I'm a huge continuity person, which you bringing that up about Lister and Kachansky's relationship's kind of like, I really enjoyed this episode, and then you've thrown a little thing in there that kind of annoys me.
Oh, what about them being...
Yeah, because it's never mentioned, like you say, all the way through it. It's like they barely knew each other, and then suddenly they've had this relationship and she broke up with him.
Well, I have his memory reading the book of being like, oh, her idea is more fleshed out in the book. They had a relationship.
Which it feels from what I've been reading in the trivia, this episode feeds very heavily off the bat, and the next one.
Yes, there's a lot of stuff from the books that gets put in there. I will say, I do feel like you can see the Doug Naylor setting up a punchline, but the whole like throwback to Lister being a slob of the way he grooms himself and then gets his stuff stuck in his teeth, all so that he can see Kachansky again for the first time looking in like bunny slippers, a women's changing robe, and I will say, just that whole, I like to think myself as the definitive Lister, and then and sucking up the floss.
And she looks him up and down and goes, of course you would. But it's funny because you literally mentioned on the last episode, didn't you, that Lister's changed and we don't see slobby Lister anymore. And again, watching that episode in a vacuum as we are, because we don't remember these series moving forward, allowed us to have that conversation. And then you suddenly watch the first 5 minutes of this episode and go, there's slobby Lister back.
Complaining.
Yeah, which is obviously a Doug Naylor thing. You start to see more and more how much of what was Rob Grant and Doug Naylor. There's like, I'll wait. There's a thing. There's a very Doug Naylor trope in the next episode, but we'll wait for that.
Well, and like the play on the one-liners and stuff, and the whole conversation about men's nose hairs. That's as bad as childbirth for women or whatever. Wait, is that one of your references where he's telling that to Crichton, and Crichton says something about women with nose hairs don't get those, except I'm excluding women who work at Oxfam
So
shops.
I have written Oxfam down with a question mark next to it because I assumed you wouldn't know what Oxfam was.
No, is that like a Goodwill?
It is exactly like Goodwill,
okay.
Yes. It's funny how you say, is it like Goodwill? Because that's exactly how I was going to describe it. It is a charity shop, yes.
So you can donate the stuff you're getting rid of.
Yes.
Okay.
Although there was a bit in the beginning of this that really annoyed me, and it's purely just because it's my job, where Lister loses his crown, and he refers to it as his cap. And I'm like, and you watch it as it goes on, you go, oh, I realise why you called it a cap, because you literally want to set up the joke of, I've lost my cap. And he goes, no, it's here, sir. There you go.
Right. And in the States, we use it interchangeably. You hear it both as a crown and a cap.
Am I going to upset people? Cap is for uneducated people. It's actually a crown.
I feel like in the States I hear cap
more
and
often.
crown.
Would you? Yeah, okay, that's interesting. That's interesting then that we talked about after doing the US pilot, that we wondered whether there would be a change in it overall about sort of having a more US influence, which I think realistically it hasn't. I think it's gone more British that Rob Grant stepped away, I think.
I do too. I think so. It came back. Cap and crown, same thing. It says basically in the US.
It is the same thing, yeah.
Technically, it explains, what it is. The cap's not a technical term, but patients often say cap.
Because they're idiots as well, yeah.
But but in the UK, you don't hear cap as much. You hear crown?
I would say most people would. It's different for me because it's my job. Like, I hear it every day, right. So it's, yeah, but I would think most, I don't know. I don't talk to a lot of people about teeth. I try not to because it's my job. I have too much of it during the day. I don't want to be. I'm talking about it now. Shut up, Lee. There was another reference. I don't know whether you have these in the US. So I can't remember what the whole line is. That Crichton says something about I can't remember the exact word he said, but something about an Italian taxi driver who's
behind two priests driving a Skoda. A Skoda.
Do you know what a Skoda is?
Is that one of the little bitty scooters?
No, it's a car. It's a make of car.
Oh, I don't know. How do you spell it?
Skoda. I actually drive a Skoda Fabia, so that's how I know what they are. The last two cars we've had is a Skoda. They used to be, it's funny actually, because going back, they're owned by BMW now. They used to be the joke car.
Oh, now that I said Skoda 1980. It's because I looked at it now and saw modern. So I did 1980. I was like, oh, this is like something Mr. Bean would drive.
So they were very much a joke car. Like the jokes going around is, why do Skodas have heated rear windscreens?
Why?
To keep your hands warm in winter. Like that type of joke. Because like a guy went into the garage the other day and asked, have you got a windscreen wiper for a Skoda? He went, yeah, it seems like a good deal. That's a subtle one, that one. But it was
that's good.
Yeah, they were stupid joke because they were crap and they were always breaking down. But they're owned by BMW now, and they're Volkswagen, sorry, not BMW. And I actually drive one, so I like them.
For our American listeners, I guess the equivalent would be the Ford Pinto. That would be our equivalent.
Yeah, I didn't know whether you had Skodas in the US. Because you have a lot of, like, there's not many, like, you have, like, one of my friends in the US used to have a Ford Fiesta, and I'm like, that seems like a far too small car for someone in the US to drive. Like a small Kia, I guess, is the equivalent of, like, a Skoda.
Yeah, except Kias now are I don't think you can get anything. The cheapest car you get now is like $50,000, I feel like, for whatever. It's crazy. It's crazy. We need, what's going to happen? We're going to start getting smaller cars because of that. That's what'll happen. But I would think a Ford Pinto would be like the equivalent for this. But I didn't write the Skodas down. I definitely wrote down the Oxfam shops.
I love that you had no idea what a Skoda was, which works even better.
No, I assumed because I said Italian, there was going to be scooters or something.
I mean, that made sense. Maybe that's no, it is a brand of car.
I am going to throw out a Doug Naylor joke that just made me laugh because and now I'm like, okay, I see where those come from, where it's the flashback to the past and Kachansky's like, why have you got that cat? Do you know what could happen? What they'll do to you?
Oh, yeah.
What? Okay. Get cat-marshaled? Yeah, I love those dumb jokes. That's so good.
It's weird, isn't it? That whole scene with Rimmer and Lister and then Kachansky coming as he's coming off leave. I know we've already can't talk, but it really does feel like you could have lifted it from series 1 or 2. It really does.
even though it looks slightly different, they even made the hallway kind of similar to that one hallway they would sometimes go down, you know?
But it feels so much like a scene from those old episodes.
So the weird thing that this does, I think from what we're used to, is that once you introduce Kochanski, you now have a competent person there.
Yes.
And that's very different. Rimmer dreamed of being competent and acted like it, but wasn't.
No.
Lister didn't care and somehow was more competent in that. You've got Crichton, who was like literal knowledge competent. And then, of course, you've got the cat. So this is interesting. And you can like, how does this pan out? And one of the things I wrote down is, and I can't, again, we have to see how the episodes go. I think the relationship that makes it change the most is Lister to Cat, because Cat always liked Lister more than Rimmer. And while he might cut jokes at Lister,
they were the boys.
They were the boys. And now we even start with the second cold open section with Lister. He's kind of talked the joke about that. He's losing it, even though he's the one got dental floss hanging out of his teeth and he's wood glued his crown back on and everything. But there's a slightly more like, you almost want to give them a little bit of conflict here and there because you're kind of missing that, right? Those little japes and stuff that Rimmer would constantly say when the cat said something about like, what an idiot or this or that. You don't have any of those jokes anymore. You don't have someone trashing Crichton.
Yeah.
And instead, you have this. Now, I think it throws off the Cat and Lister a little bit because you don't have this sort of in-between.
That camaraderie between them of ragging on Rimmer.
Yes, you're missing that because they're not really yet going to rag on Kochanski.
No.
I think that will come later. However, the instant chemistry or anti-chemistry between Crichton and Kochanski, not just how it's written, but to me, this, and I could be completely wrong about this, but I love this because even though they have anti-chemistry, I feel like I can look at two performers having a great time working with each other and treating each other like crap in the script, because that's how it feels.
When he's like talking about how stupid walk. And he's like, have you seen the way you walk? And he's like, at least I don't walk like this. And he does like the big hip sway walk thing. So we haven't seen Crichton like that for a while either. This is why I want to say it again. I think Doug Naylor's part in the writing of Red Dwarf is the part that I love the most. Because I think it's because of that these do feel like those original episodes. It's like there's so many references in this episode and the next one to things that we haven't had referenced in Red Dwarf for a long, long time. The fact that we actually get to see Red Dwarf in this episode. Yeah,
that they had to scramble together. I don't know if you saw how they had to make it.
No.
But like old shot and then taking that and making a cutout, then filming it between, like they had, because the model doesn't exist anymore. And they didn't want to make a CG one since it was a throwback to the past. So they actually used old shots of stuff to make that work.
Yeah. But then you've got Rimmer trying to, Mom, I'm trying to get the new salute sorted. We haven't seen Rimmer's salute for a long time. Although that did make me question. So Rimmer's left, but Chris Barry, came back to just film this scene?
Yeah, I think if I read correctly somewhere that he came back and filmed a couple of episodes. I think like not necessarily like he had left, but filmed a
couple of little bits
prior to those episodes being complete to do some scenes.
But there's like a mention of Holly in there. There's like all these blasts from old episodes that are getting re-referenced in this series, which I love.
It's really tough because as a creator, you'd be like, man, should we mention Rimmer? Because the more we do, the more we point out he's not there. And then if you put him in, you also point out, but I like it. I think it works. Like as we had said around, I don't know, maybe it was series 4 or something. We're like, oh, they're really starting to build on the story. And if you've seen them all, the more it, resonates with you. These are really counting. Would the DVDs and VHS collections have started to be out in 97?
Yes. So I started seeing Tracy in 1997 and I owned the VHSs before then. So yes, I would say just.
So if that's the case,
people could potentially have bought them all and started watching them and catching up for the new series.
And so, you could actually start to throw in those old references and things.
Like
Holly was obviously mentioned in the funeral.
Yeah, because if you hadn't, when did Holly go? Series 4?
6.
Was she in the last one?
Oh, well, no, she switched to it. So it went from
Norman Lovett to Hedy Haridge.
And that was series
4.
4, right? Yeah, and 3 we still...
3 was still Norman Lovett.
Nope.
Was it
God,
not?
dude, it's not. That's Crichton's first series, and so Holly switches too.
Jesus, was Norman Lovett only in 2 series?
Because the last episode of series 2 was the parallel...
It was, you're right.
Female versions.
Oh, you're right.
And so,
it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that...
Again, that shows you
switch.
how much he established himself, for me at least, as that character.
So here you go. 1993 is when the Series 1 VHS tapes were released in the UK.
Okay.
And if you think about that, we didn't have a series. Was that 93? Was that the end of Series 6?
There or thereabouts.
Yeah, 93. 93 and 3 is Series 6. So that means if you were watching Red Dwarf, you're doing reruns or watching this. So yeah, it does give you like an opportunity to maybe lean back on the old stuff and go, hey, you know what? We can treat this like people have had the opportunity to see it.
Yeah.
You know, and build on it.
And then if you haven't, it's not that big a deal because you just accept it as, just like, oh, Holly's this, that, and the other. Like, oh, I don't know who Holly is, but all right, I guess he's just someone on the ship.
I just like when you have characters with strong points of view. And like, I think Kat misses one a little bit by not having his like, at Rimmer. But Crichton with Kachansky, I mean, his like, it's all fine, sir. It's not my place to. It's not my place to point out what a bossy old trollop she is. It's one of my favorite deliveries. But Crichton's whole, I'm just scared. Like his like high pitched crying over freaking out of losing Lister for his life. It's like we'd never seen that before. And all of a sudden here he comes, Robert Llewellyn with a whole new thing for Crichton that becomes like a staple, even though it didn't happen until Series 7.
There was a weird bit at the beginning. I actually posted it on our Instagram last night when I was doing my rewatch of this episode for doing my notes. At the beginning, when he's like, Crichton, I've lost my cap. He's like, let me have a look, sir. Oh, you can't. It's all pointy and gross. Look, I'm a mechanoid, and it doesn't matter to me. And he looks in his mouth and goes, sir, it is hideous. And then he does this weird little laugh thing. And it's bizarre as hell, but it's hilarious. And it comes from absolutely nowhere. Oh, so random. But
it feels like something that has happened for a long time, but it hasn't.
Such a weird little laugh at it.
Yeah, and he's got a weird look at the end of this episode, too, where she's got her gown, her hospital gown open, and he's like, oh Mom,
yeah,
welcome aboard. And like, he's almost looked to the camera with it. But his like, I can't even do it. It gets so high pitched. Yeah. His I'm just scared. I don't know. It's so funny.
We're stuck with her.
Oh my God. Also, another like just classic Crichton could have been from series 3 through anywhere was when Kachansky is falling through the rift in time and space. And they stab her through the leg with the harpoon to pull her up, and the phone rings. And then you just see Crichton's face. His like, it's an obscene phone call, sir. And it's like he's so precise of how he says it and understated. I believe it's for you. It's so great.
I love you talk about how Kat has changed in this, but what I love, there's a section in this where I feel like Kat realizes that Kachansky knows what she's talking about and tries to elevate himself a little bit. Because she's like, I need you to follow my chords. And he's like, chords? Yes, chords. No, I assume you're not talking about trousers. But then there's a bit where she's talking about, she said, we need to reroute the auxiliary power drives. And Kat's like, I'll take care of that, whatever that is. And then he comes back through and he goes, hey, Officer Butt Babe, about that power similarly drive. Taken care of. He has no idea what it's called, but he's trying to act like he knows what he's talking about, even though he doesn't. And I'm hoping that's something that comes into play a little bit of Kat trying to sound like he knows what he's talking about, but he doesn't.
Do you think so? In things that I go, this feels not thought out to me. The Gelf attacking the time thing.
Yeah,
it feels. Why is that there? This is pure Blake's writer brain.
So I know why.
Because the reason I ask is, so they discover the little time, whatever you want to call it. This like
rift
space between rift. Yeah. And it's in the cargo hold and they go take a walk. Well, on the walk, it rips and Kat almost falls through. And Crichton saves him and says, that's a no space. So why?
Why would the Gelf ship be there?
So what? But well, one, why would the Geth? Because he even says somehow they've infiltrated no space, which is about the same as Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker. Palpatine, somehow he returned. We're not gonna tell you how.
No,
but and the reason I say this is, well, you've already established it's a tenuous connection at best. Why do you need? I understand, like, stuff has to go wrong, and she ends up on your side. But why can't she go over to hand him the vial and then the rip? You know what I'm saying? Like, especially like when you're looking at money and stuff, because they do the whole thing. I guess now that I've said this out loud, it gives you an opportunity to her to get back to their ship. The Gelfs attack again, and then we go out of CGI Starbug, go back to a miniature Starbug that gets chased through a snow planet, and she's the one who brilliantly navigates them so that the Gelf ship crashes and they survive. So I guess it's there for that point to give Kachansky, like, to show that, oh, this isn't like someone pretending like Rimmer. Like, she literally knows what to do. She's very good at this.
Yeah.
But it seems like, well, you've already established that this thing is not very stable. So why that?
Yeah, because you could have just had it crack. So this leans on what I've already doubled down on. I think it's because Doug Naylor's writing the script and he likes his callbacks. Hey,
he does.
Why not call back to? And I kind of like it because you would assume that if the Gelfs were that bad, there's no way they would just let Lister escape. So I kind of like the fact that she comes looking for him. So it's a way of calling back to Emo Hawk, giving another callback, but then also another reason for that rift to be blown up or whatever.
It's wild to me it's not rogue simulants. Because that's usually the bad guys. Whereas the Gelfs, we didn't get this idea that they had this like tribe. Yeah, they had some technology, but that they would have a ship to attack you with it seems like something the simulants would do, not so much them. But it does give us the opportunity to go,
and there's probably that. It's probably a lot of that there as well, just to give Crichton something extra to do.
Yeah. Which I guess if you're introducing a new thing, but I'll give some credit performance-wise. Craig Charles is so different as his other version, the hologram version.
It doesn't feel like the same person.
No, not at all. Like it's very interesting. I know it's only a short bit. There's a world where I wish they could have come back together and like you see more about like why they're different or whatever.
I do love I suppose it's a sliding doors thing. I love that it's like this is what could have happened. That Kachansky's the one that has the cat and ends up going in stasis and how things would have been different. I do like that, and it's a really clever idea, even though it's not massively fleshed out, which it doesn't need to be. But I like the fact that it's like that they realise Rimmer's gone and we need an extra person in because that's just where we're at now. So we like having that 4-person dynamic. Who can we bring in and how can we bring them in? And it would have been so easy to think of another character or just bring someone brand new in. But hey, why don't we, again, Doug Naylor wanting his callbacks, why don't we bring Kachansky back? How can we bring Kachansky back? I know what happens if, and it's weird because the only thing that gets it is like, why didn't that happen? Because surely things happen. What changed for that to happen? I'm thinking I'm spoiling this episode for myself now because I really enjoyed this episode. But the more you start to delve into the story, like the plot of it kind of doesn't make sense. But it's that sliding doors thing of I like the fact that she finds the cat. She's going to destroy it and decides not to. So she's the one that gets caught with the cat.
That's also not a pregnant cat. That's a much smaller kitty cat.
Much smaller kitty cat. Yeah. And it's funny, I've got in the trivia here, so the flashback in Red Dwarf shows the stern of White Midget, which you only ever see never hear White Midget in the books. It's the ship that returns Lister to Red Dwarf from his shore leave. Which was supposed to be part of series 4 or 3, but they decided to go with Starbug. I saw something like, I forget why, but they decided to use Starbug instead of that. Interesting. So it says the same flashback also shows Lister with the items he acquired on shore leave. The gaudy trinkets and blingy junk he is pushing in a shopping trolley. Although not seen, these new possessions would have included his robot fish, talkie toaster, and a smuggled pet cat, which I love, by the way.
So every single thing that would have been in there, several of them mentioned from the book.
Yes.
Right?
I think that's what...
Not just from the show.
Yes.
Because, well, even this scene, as we said, is straight from the book.
Yeah, I need to read those, but I don't want to read them now because I'm kind of enjoying learning that stuff as we go through. But I think once we've finished the TV series, I want to read the books for definite. I mean, I've got the audio book, so I will listen to them at some point.
Yeah, I need to go. I'm the same. I found my Infinity Welcomes Carol for Drivers, I think, backwards, and I found them unpacking. Went, okay, yeah, I'm going to wait till I'm done because I have this feeling we're going to find more things like this. There was another thing I found weird in this. So because they try to stuff so much in this episode, we've totally forgotten about Ouroboros. Damn it. I even pulled up the pronunciation so I wouldn't screw it up.
Ouroboros.
Ouroboros. There we go.
I had to think about it there. You're right. Yeah, it's Rob. You've got to think it's a hard Rob in the middle, so it's Ouroboros.
Yeah, but it's not Ouroboros. Ouroboros. But like we have forgotten about it.
Yes. So this is kind of garbage pod. The story is about Lister spoilers.
Yes.
The baby getting put under the thing, but it's not. It's such a small bit at the beginning and a small bit at the end. The episode is about Kachansky. That's a Doug Naylor thing again.
It does, but doesn't this make a ton of more problems? Because wouldn't you have thought that what it would create would be Jim and Bexley? His twin kids?
No, because those two twin kids, for him being impregnated when they go to the parallel universe.
So that's
a different thing. Yeah, this is Kachansky with that little sort of artificial insemination thing.
Well, the last time Claire Grogan showed up, and I know it was a siren thing, but it was Claire Grogan saying, "I've got our two boys, Jim and Bexley."
Oh.
And so I was like, I wonder if, obviously going into this, I knew what it was going to be,
Blake,
but I hadn't thought about it.
You're killing me. Like, I really enjoyed this episode, and I was just picking holes in it entirely.
But you are right, though. In the early on, you're like, oh, it's going to be fun finding out, and the gag is a season later, it's you, dude. That's the kid.
Because that was him getting pregnant when they went to the parallel universe, so he was like the male, the female male, and the other way around. But yeah, you're right. She does in Siren's reference. I've got our two twin boys.
It's the sirens picking up stuff in his head and screwing with him. So I mean, I understand that.
Okay, yeah, you could. Yeah, I guess you could use that as a, like, you don't know that because you're not actually Kachansky. You've just seen that at some point I have two twin boys and assume that this person who you are endlessly infatuated must have been the person that you had those babies with. So yeah, maybe.
Right.
You could make an excuse for that.
So this works. It is weird that he wants to get with his mom now.
I mean, it's very strange.
It's a little Back to the Future. But I mean, I don't even know how that works, because also there's a little bit of me. There's me in here. You just need you. And I don't know how any of that works, which is an interesting thought in that. How far in between this episode and the next is it? Is there a gap? Did she, I don't know what they were implying. Does she carry the baby and then they go drop it off?
I assume.
Why do they drop it off?
Yeah. Well, no, because now they know they have to. So he explains it at the end, doesn't he?
That's the paradox.
Why. Yes. So the human race never dies. But then it would.
That is a cool Twilight Zone sci-fi idea.
Yes.
I've done this so that humanity never dies, because and the books lean on this a lot more.
Okay.
The show does not explicitly say this much, but the books are much more like, hey man, you might be it.
Yes.
It has been 3 million years, and statistically speaking, there's a good chance there are no more humans.
So yeah, you would have to do this, because otherwise it literally could be the end where, okay, that makes sense.
So that whole, like, this way we guarantee the human race stays. I love that concept. The book is much darker for that implication.
Yes.
Than I think the show is. So I love that. But again, it's almost like, now that you've said it, and though my memory of the books is a little bit foggy, because it's been a couple of decades since I've touched them.
Wow.
It does tie in with Doug Naylor looking at the books a bit more and using the books and leaning on that to tell the story. But that's a cool sci-fi concept. I've created a paradox so that humanity never dies. It's floating out there somewhere. That's kind of cool.
I do. Let's go to another stretch. The Ouroboros. That's a stretch and a half, by the way. That's what they think it is on the box. That it says Ouroboros. Because I'm like, yeah, no. And it's like, oh, because it must be thicker than, what was it they say now? There's a joke there that he goes, oh, whoever wrote the box his parents must have been thicker than something. I can't remember what it was now. I'm going to have to look that up.
Oh yeah. Oh God, I can't think of what it was either. I wonder if that was one of those references I didn't write down, but I should have. For what is
you
this?
Look at the way it's spelled. They must have been thicker than a ticket tout wad. There you go.
What is it?
Thicker than a ticket tout wad.
What is that?
So a ticket tout's someone who scams tickets, basically. People who, like, I'm trying to think what you would refer. So, like people
like
who...
a scalper, but
yes,
not really?
Yes, that's the one. Yes, so a ticket tout, that's what they call them over here. So if you went to... We'll reference, like, Ferris's when he was trying to get into... Was it Crystal Palace when Ferris was trying to get in there and he ended up, like, buying tickets? There's always people selling tickets outside the ground for, like, twice the price that they were.
Yeah, he like got in there because he snagged just a...
So that's what that is. So it's obviously he made a fortune. So it's a ticket tout wad.
Ticket touts wad.
Yeah. So ticket tout would be what you guys would call a scalper, and obviously the wad is his wad of money. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll bring that up in my next conversation with Ferris.
Although my favorite joke in this episode, when they realize what it is, it's like, oh, the Ouroboros batteries. Ouroboros, what's that? That was what was written on my box. And Kat says, you came in a box? Well, that explains everything.
Yes.
Oh my God, it's hilarious.
But what I was going to say before I could still not pronounce it well.
Ouroboros.
It feels so shoehorned in at the end.
It does.
That's how the Ouroboros comes back out, is it happens to be the logo on a box at the end that he's taking it. You know what I mean?
But it kind of, sometimes that's how it would work. They just happen to grab a box and it's like, oh, right. The Ouroboros batteries, sir. Ouroboros, that's what's written on my box.
You came in a box?
Oh, it's the best joke ever. I love it. It's brilliant. It's so Cat as well.
But it feels to me, I'm like, God, this is so funny. It's like they were like at the end and they went, oh, wait, we got to bring the thing back. It's like
Garbage pod.
How it feels.
But again, you talk about Doug Naylor's writing. It feels like waiting for God.
Yeah. No, that's very true.
Because your Ouroboros is your garbage pod and the Kachansky coming back is the whole cloister thing. It feels like that episode. It's not as good as that episode, but it feels like that episode.
No, but it does. It does have an old school dwarf vibe. It really does.
To it. The more we've delved into it, it really does, and not just to the concept, not just the jokes, the flashbacks, just the overall how the episode is put together. It really does feel like an old episode. I think that's why I enjoyed it as much as I did, and I think that's probably why a lot of people don't like. Like I say. As we said, we do these generally 2 episodes, so we've already watched the next one. But there's another 4, as we've just alluded to, because this is an 8-episode season, not a 6-episode series. So I am really interested to see if it continues in this trend, and if it does, I can understand that's why a lot of people don't necessarily like this series, because it does feel like that old school throwback, and I do feel that a lot of people probably didn't come into Red Dwarf until series 3 onwards, maybe. No,
well, that would make sense, right? It would build its popularity, and then you probably came to it later. Again, it's not like today where you'd be having advertisements on social media for a new show dropping or something.
Yeah,
right? So that is what they're used to. Now, I have this memory that as we go through series 8 and 9, that it does start to build on itself, much in the way that series 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 6 did, as they built on themselves. And this is like, what would we call it today? A soft reboot.
Yes. I hate that term.
I do too, but that's kind of what it is. It's interesting. I enjoyed the first 2 more than this one.
Really?
Although not the first one without the laugh track. As one of our listeners, I forget who said, "Oh yeah, I saw the extended version too. That was really weird. That did not. It felt so weird because they were pausing for the laugh.
Yes,
but there was no laugh.
There.
So felt so slow.
I bet.
But I like this. I think if I were watching this live and it was the first time, I would be like, My jury is out. I'm a little worried about where this goes from here. I liked moments, but some things feel a little rushed or not quite as fully baked. But there's a lot of stuff in here that I do like. I don't know.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because like I say, I had a lot of fun with this episode. I really, really liked it. Again, probably because it feels like a real old school throwback. But I really, really enjoyed it.
The thing I walk away from it the most is I can't wait to see more of Crichton and Kachanski together. Because that is and I keep alluding to it, whether it's series 8 or 9, I always forget, but there is one gag that has a hell of a punchline between the two of them. I'm like, oh, I can see this starting and building. Because again, for her, this is a whole new thing now. So it really does lean on what the future is going to be like for her. And I have some... I think it makes part of the next episode interesting in discussion, but I'll save that for the next episode.
Yeah. One last thing before we go, I do like the fact that the baby playing Baby Lister was Danny John Jules' nephew.
Yeah, that they had cast Baby, he said didn't look right.
Yeah.
And so they
said he wasn't the same skin color as Craig Charles. It's like, why don't you use my nephew?
Well, because to be honest, when I saw it, I thought like, is that kid somehow kin to Craig Charles?
Yeah.
Because it's such a close match.
Yes.
Danny John Jules, looking amazing. As always, as my wife said, he must have lost so much body weight in every show because he's always in leather, PVC, or fur.
I love his other universe counterpart that has the massive belt buckle on it that just says cat.
Just says cat, yeah.
So I'm interested now, Blake. What did you give this episode out of 10? Oh, actually, before we get into that, right, we're going to know how much influence Doug Naylor has on the writing and how much influence he had on the writing of those first two series and how much he likes his flashbacks if over the next 6 episodes we get the return of Goit. We haven't had it yet. I am praying for a Goit to come back.
Oh, if Goit would come back, that episode would get a 10 out of 10. It is weird to have discovered literally on the viewing, my second viewing of the next episode, I went, oh my God, there's 8 episodes this year. We've only had 6.
It was only tonight after rewatching the next episode for the first time that I sort of scrolled through and went, oh, there's 8 episodes in this series.
So I'm very curious to feel if like, to go back to some of the original Marvel Netflix shows. I loved Luke Cage. Thought it's 4 episodes too long, and I felt that about the Daredevil one. Like the ones on Netflix. I
love those 3 series of Daredevil, the original ones. They could have done 24 episodes of them for me.
But I just always felt like, particularly like the Luke Cage one and
Iron Fist.
Not so much Jessica Jones, the first one. I don't know about Iron Fist. That show didn't exist. That disappointed me.
I didn't mind Iron Fist, but I have no reference to the character.
When you walk away and you like his girlfriend way better, and you're like, I want a show about her. That's probably not good.
I hate it because Tracy. I like Jessica Henwick. Tracy, my wife, who we've referenced quite enough times. She went down to London a couple of years ago to see like a book tour thing from Simu Liu. And Jessica Henwick was the one who was like interviewing him on the stage, and I'm like, you got to sit that close to the pair of them. I hate you. She gets to do all this cool. I don't get to do anything. I hate her. I don't. She won't listen, so it doesn't matter. Craig, don't you dare tell her.
I will not say a word. I'll just make it my ringtone when I come visit.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, I'm still waiting. You still have not given it a rating out of 10, Blake.
I was going to give it a 6 out of 10. You might have talked me into a 7 out of 10.
Really? Even after you were like,
So I hem and haw, but it did like leave me with things like, well, I look forward to seeing where this goes.
Yes.
So a 6 feels too low to me. I still feel like the pacing's a little off, but I loved series 1 and 2. And I said the same thing. You could just feel them not getting, I'm like, oh, I know where the sharpness will come. And it feels the same way. The show has changed up how they filmed the break. It's going to take a second, you feel like, to get their feet under them. So, and when it comes to order of filming, this series also is weird because if I remember correctly, for this next episode, this was filmed at a different. That next episode, I think, was filmed last or something. I don't. So these are unlike the previous ones. Some of these are filmed weirdly. Now, some of them we found out they changed the order because of things that happened, but there's something about how these were put together that were filmed, and maybe it could be the inclusion of like Rimmer and stuff that threw it off. So I don't know if you see the last episode 8 and go, oh, it's come together, because I don't know when that was filmed.
Yeah, it's, look, just going ahead just slightly, Blake, it's the next episode that was written last.
Okay, written last. There we go.
Yes.
But not necessarily filmed last.
No. I know there's something we didn't reference. I want to reference in the trivia just before you... Are you giving it a 6 or a 7, Blake? Come on, because commit yourself.
I think you've talked me into a 7 out of anticipation.
Let's make it better. That apparently, according to Robert Llewellyn, during the scene in which the dwarfers meet Kachansky, he couldn't stop staring at Chloe Annette's ass, so he decided just to get on his hands and knees and stare at her ass until he got bored and could concentrate on his lines.
I like to picture that was absolutely in costume.
Absolutely, yeah, no doubt it was. That would have been hilarious. I'm going to give this an 8. I absolutely, the more I've talked about it, the more I've realised how much I've enjoyed it and how much it really feels like what I love about Red Dwarf. I think it was a really, really good episode. And I'm just hoping that we continue, at least for the rest of this series, that this is the kind of trend we're on, that it's like, it's new Red Dwarf, but written kind of old styley, if that makes sense.
I do remember a couple of the other episodes that are coming more than some of these. And I will say, I remember them being quite funny.
Okay.
And so seeing where some of this stuff is being set up, if I drift back to series 1 and go, oh, I love this, like it's starting at a good place, but like where the Rimmer and Lister relationship like will go is even better, or how, and so, yeah, I'm gonna stick with my 7.
Okay.
I'm gonna stick with my 7.
I'm happy with that. I'm happy that I talked you up, because I really liked it. Cool.
It's usually me that talks you up.
It is, to be fair, but I really enjoyed this conversation. I must admit, I said to you before we started recording, that I watched the next episode literally before we sat down to record. I had a long week. I slept through the last 10 minutes of it, and I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. I don't know whether I can be bothered to record this podcast. I've had an absolute blast, and that's what I love about talking about this stuff, that sometimes you can't be bothered. You've had a long day, and the last thing you want to do is sit and talk about an episode, and then suddenly it's like you get in and you realize how good it was, and so the stuff that we delve into just energizes you. It's awesome. I'm so happy that we decided to do this podcast.
I just like and how we end up looking at things from like completely different like viewpoints and ways, and yeah. And I love the comments we've been getting, like from people. So their looks on the show and everything else have been really cool too.
It's really interesting.
Quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, me too. Cool. So yeah, that will bring us to the end of the podcast. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Dwarf Memory, and Twitter at Dwarf_Memory for all show updates and random little posts of Crichton laughing, which I did last night.
And please subscribe, rate, and review the show wherever you can, and email us your comments to dwarfmemory@gmail.com.
The next episode we will be discussing will be the 4th episode of Series 7, which is titled Ducked Soup, which I love that reference, by the way. So make sure to watch before you join us for that episode.
I've brought you a drink, but don't think for 1 minute it means I've gone all mushy on you.
I'm going to get up and work out a way of re-establishing that link way.
It's too late, sir. The rift's self-repaired. We're stuck with you.
I'm going to try anyway.
Oh, sir.
Yes, Blake?
Welcome aboard.
Oh, thanks, Blake.